Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for joining us tonight. Before we get started, I would like to ask you all to please find your seats, silence your cell phones. We'd like to welcome to the stage Major General Clifford Stanley, who will give the invocation for this evening.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening. I know we're still meeting and still talking, but I think they want to get the program started, I believe. So good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening, good evening, good evening. It's so wonderful to be in this place, the Travis Manion Foundation. And this prayer that I'm going to share this evening is a prayer that talks about service, the service to each other, because our Lord and Savior came not to be served, but to serve. Will you join me in prayer? Eternal God, our Father, we humbly seek your presence every day. We're thankful for your gift of life and for your promise of eternal life. Lord, we ask that you continue to order our steps. You are the wind beneath our wings, and the path to righteousness we so fervently seek. As we gather here this evening, we humbly submit ourselves to your will and ask that you fill us with your Holy Spirit. Refresh us as we reflect upon the words so eloquently spoken by your Son, Jesus Christ, when he said, "For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." Your counsel speaks to us every day, especially this evening. We are here to honor those who have fallen, those who have served, and those who continue to serve. We beseech you, Lord, to teach us to love as you love, to put the interests of others before our own, doing nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Serving others is the credo of the Travis Manion Foundation, a body of your servants who have dedicated their lives to the service of others. Lord, we ask that you bless all who are present, those who couldn't be here but who wanted to be here, and the families of your servants. We humbly assemble here this evening beneath the cloud of witnesses who have gone on to glory, whose service we seek to emulate in our efforts to be more like you. If not me, then who? Amen, amen, and amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of the colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming? whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our Master of Ceremonies for the 2022 If Not Me, Then Who Gala. Respected journalist, founder of Smart Her News, and longtime friend of Travis Manion Foundation, Jenna Lee.
Hi, everybody. Before we get started this evening, I just need to wish someone a very happy anniversary. It was 10 years ago that we had our first Travis Manion Foundation Gala. And I remember distinctly a few months before that event, Ryan and I had a meeting in Midtown Manhattan, 12th floor conference room. And I was familiar with Ryan's work and the work of the Travis Manion Foundation, but she explained to me during that time the vision for tonight. It was to have a beautiful, elegant, sophisticated, fun, meaningful evening that was the vision of her mother, who had passed away just a few weeks earlier at that time. And she asked if I would help, and of course I said yes. I wanted so badly for this event to take place and for it to be as beautiful as her mother wished. And I was thinking about this on the plane on the way here. You know, 10 years ago, there were a lot of veteran organizations launching, a lot of meaningful work being done, a lot of very impactful stories, a lot of promises being made. And it's a huge accomplishment to celebrate a decade of this gala, and I just want to recognize the entire Travis Manion Foundation, Ryan and Colonel Manion, and Amy and Krista and the whole team for celebrating 10 years of this amazing event. Can we give them a round of applause? And congratulations, if you're here, you made it 10 years too, and you've never looked better. So it's great to see you tonight. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to join you to celebrate and honor and recognize what's become a leading veterans organization in the United States, the Travis Manion Foundation. Think about what's transpired in 10 years in your own lives and in our country as well. 10 years ago, I was newly married, living in New York City as a journalist, working as a national news anchor. I could never fathom I would choose to leave that job and move from America's largest city to a small town outside of Austin, Texas, population 600, complete with rattlesnakes and scorpions and all sorts of creatures I didn't even know existed. And I never expected to become an entrepreneur, but I felt called to try to build a solution in news. And I founded a nonpartisan news platform for busy American families called Smarter News. It's a news source for quick, concise, nonpartisan information. That's what we do every day. One of our guiding lights as a company is the phrase curiosity over commentary, because it's a reminder of what to prioritize, to value gathering information over an opinion, which is really important for journalists and often forgotten, but also a great mantra for life, curiosity over commentary. Curiosity leads us to ask all sorts of questions. And after thousands of interviews, I've learned the best questions don't have to be complicated. Questions like, where are we? And I don't mean that philosophically. We don't have time for that right now tonight. I mean, where are we? We're in this building, in this particular room. We've been here for 10 years. So where are we? I've always been curious about it. We've all led such different lives. But our paths have led us here at this moment tonight. And so I want to talk to you a little bit more about that. You're sitting at a national landmark, and this landmark is part of the Union League. The Union League was founded in 1862 during the Civil War to support the president at the time, Abraham Lincoln. And it was very specifically and intentionally set up to support the military, for Union soldiers. The origin of this building dates back to the 1860s. When you arrived tonight, you checked your coats under a sign in Latin that translates to "Love of Country Leads." It's the motto of that society. You're going to be able to see it when you leave tonight. We had cocktails near a statue of President Lincoln and the Gettysburg Address. Nearby, there's a display of names of those who served in the Civil War, both white and black soldiers. In fact, Frederick Douglass was a frequent visitor of the Union League, and he worked with Union League members over the years to support abolition and the training of soldiers. That chandelier that's hanging above us tonight has lit events just like this since the 1880s, before electricity. In fact, it was powered by gas for a long time. Around you on the walls hang more than 400 pieces of art, many historic, including what's believed to be the only portrait of Abraham Lincoln painted at the White House. You're actually sitting in Lincoln Hall. Just steps away from where we are right now lies one of the few remaining copies of the original Emancipation Proclamation, along with a piece of the shirt that Abraham Lincoln was wearing when he was killed, and the sword present at the final battle of the Civil War. Those who founded this society came from different backgrounds. They're described as leaders of all types. They owned small and large businesses. They worked as lawyers or newspapermen. Some served in the military, others didn't. And membership wasn't based on religion or income, which made it really different at the time, but a shared purpose and a story with the rest of the nation. They sent out pamphlets telling others about why they came together and how they set up the club. And hundreds of union leagues bloomed around the nation by the end of the war, causing some to call it the most important civic institution of the time. You could say they went viral. It was just in a different way. Amazing what you learn what's possible by asking one question. So I want to link where we are to why it matters tonight. Tonight we are continuing a tradition of a group of people who love America coming together to support the nation through supporting those who serve. And a question lies at the center of why we are here tonight. A question remarkable in its simplicity and its purity and how easy it can apply to so many different scenarios. If not me, then who? The answer to that question has taken many different forms over the last 10, 15 years of this foundation. It also ignited a movement that you are now part of tonight. When you chose to come tonight, you became part of a legacy. Thank you so much for choosing to be here. It's wonderful to have you. And on behalf of the Travis Manion Foundation, I also want to thank some of the key sponsors who have made tonight possible. Without their generosity, the work of the Travis Manion Foundation would not be possible, and we would like to recognize them, so please hold your applause until I've called out all of our sponsors for tonight. Honor level, G.I. John's, Johnson & Johnson, Morella Family Foundation, Under Armour. The champion level, Advanced Aviation Team, Amazon, the Boeing Company, Stephen Burns, the Carlyle Group, Comcast NBC Universal, Sean and Felicia Daly, Echelon Front and Jocko Fuel, Green Family Foundation, First Trust Bank, Alex and Pat Gorski, Hunt Military Communities, KPMG, Penn Medicine, Penn Mutual, Polling Capital, Peretta and Orr, UBS, and Wounded Warrior Project. And then at our challenge level, Becton Dickinson and Company, BP Business Solutions, Danaher Lynch Family Foundation, John and Jesse Denome, Flags of Valor, Halen Group, Dr. Joseph and Barbara Kesselring, McCausland Foundation, Princeton Brain and Spine, the Sheriff Foundation, Ventresca Limited, Croft Young and Carlo Picori, and the many integrity level and individual sponsors who are, fortunately, are too many to name, but we thank you all for your generous support. Please join me in giving a warm round of applause to all those incredible sponsors and contributors. Well, you're going to recognize our next guest, General Dunford. Most of you probably recognize him because of his incredible legacy to our country. He served as the 19th chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and former principal military advisor to the President, Secretary of Defense, and National Security Council. He spent more than 40 years on active duty, including a tenure as the 36th Commandant of the Marine Corps. And he's lent his expertise to a number of different causes, and that's why we're especially honored that General Dunford now serves as an invaluable member of the Travis Manion Foundation's Board of Directors as Vice Chairman. So please help welcome to the stage General Dunford.
Jenna, thanks for the introduction. And ladies and gentlemen, it really is an absolute honor to be with you here tonight. And I want to begin by just reinforcing Jenna's message, thanking the sponsors, the donors, and the volunteers who have stepped up to make tonight possible. And I particularly want to single out the TMF volunteers who probably had their first planning meeting for tonight's gala, which, by the way, Jenna mentioned it's the 10th. It's the largest as well after 10 years, and so the trajectory is in the right direction. But I guarantee you that the planning meeting that initiated this particular gala probably started on the Friday morning after we finished last year. And for that reason, I'd like all of those who were part of the planning committee and the execution here of the dinner on the TMF team to please stand up and be recognized. We're going to have to tell them that we did that because they're all outside, clearly still working. So they're still trying to make a go of it. Listen, we're all here for the same reason, I'm sure, and it's very consistent with the TMF mission statement. We're here to support veterans. We're here to support families of the fallen, and we're here to empower them to actually go make a difference in our communities, and most particularly in the character of our youth. In tonight's program, we're going to talk a lot about what we have done over the past year consistent with that particular mission. In my case, I had the opportunity to meet Tom Manion, Janet, and Ryan probably now, I guess, about 12 or 13 years ago. And it was, the foundation had been established, but it was in the early days, and it was before they had the first gala. And I was introduced by a mutual friend who's here tonight. I think Dave Papek was the one who introduced me to Janet Manion. He's here tonight. And so we had a conversation, and she talked about TMF and her vision for TMF. And to be honest with you, I didn't know exactly what direction she was going to go in, but I knew after spending a little bit of time with her that whatever her vision was for TMF, that vision would be realized. And I can remember talking to my wife after that event, and we went through our typical after-action report after an evening engagement. And I said, Ellen, did you talk to that Janet Manion woman? I said, she is a force of nature. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is reflective of that vision. That's why it is the 10th largest, the largest gala after 10 years, and that's why the mission still continues. I, over the years, when I was in uniform, came to a couple of galas and a number of events. And I gained an appreciation for the sense of community that TMF provides and a sense of purpose that TMF provides to veterans and Gold Star families. But I have to be honest with you, I think it was after I took off my uniform that I really gained an appreciation for the impact of TMF and how important it is to the health and well-being of veterans and family members who choose to be Spartans. As Jenna mentioned, I spent over 4 decades in uniform, and so it was natural in the first few months that I retired for everyone to ask me, "Hey, Joe, do you miss it?" And to be honest with you, after 42 years, the answer was no, I don't. My initial answer, right? And because when I answered the question, I was thinking, do I miss the last 4 years in the Pentagon and 20-hour days? No, probably not. Do I miss 15, 16 days a month on the road? Probably not. But then I, was a little bit more thoughtful and I realized, no, there actually is something that I miss. I missed the sense of purpose that I had on active duty and the importance of the mission that you have when you're on active duty. And probably more importantly, I missed being surrounded by people who were so committed to being part of something greater than themselves. And for me, it was very natural when I took off my uniform to be involved in veterans organizations. But obviously, there's a lot of organizations out there, and there's a lot of good ones. But it was this organization I was drawn to, and last year I made a joke that part of the reason that I was drawn to it was because Ryan put me in a headlock, and even though I was in the first 6 months of retirement, and everyone told me, don't accept anything for the first 6 months, I violated that rule because of Ryan's power of persuasion. But the truth of the matter is, what drew me to TMF was not only the opportunity to be part of an organization that takes care of veterans and takes care of family members of the fallen, but also an organization that taps into the potential, the commitment, and the leadership that I witnessed in over 4 decades. So in my mind, this was the perfect match of an organization that again, takes care of veterans, takes care of family members, but actually turns them loose to make a difference in our communities, and as I mentioned before, for me personally, most particularly for the character of youth. That's really where it makes a difference. But ladies and gentlemen, I always say, you get no credit tomorrow for what you did yesterday. So under the leadership of our chairman, Don Morell, and Ryan, tonight is about looking to tomorrow and what are we going to do next. And a little bit of a teaser, some of you are familiar with it. The goal of TMF is a 10-year plan now that the chairman has helped us craft, and we're going to have 100,000 veterans in 100 cities touching 1 million youth. That's the 10-year plan. And that's a pretty tall order when you get down to it. That's going to require a lot of commitment. It's going to require a lot of resources. But I actually have confidence that we'll get there, and all we have to do to get there is for all of us to just look in the mirror and ask the question that Travis Manion asked just before he made his last deployment, if not me, who? And if we all ask that question, then I think we'll get there. But knowing that we'll all do our part, every organization that succeeds needs leadership. And if I were to think about what do we need to take TMF to the next level, what do we need for the next 15 years? We've been 10 years at the Gala, 15 years since the foundation was established. I think we need a leader that really understands veterans and understands military families, particularly those that have suffered profound loss. We need a leader that has vision and energy, and somebody who's selfless, a selfless servant. We need someone like that. We need someone that is unboundless energy and resilient. We need someone that would never take no for an answer. We need someone that can make things happen and someone that can inspire people to make things happen. The good news is, ladies and gentlemen, our president fits that job description. She has all of those characteristics and much more, and I'm very proud to welcome to the stage Ryan Manion, our president. Ryan.
Wow, that was quite an introduction, and I truly don't feel worthy of it. But good evening. I'm excited to share with you, one of the things, I told a couple people this story tonight, but I'll share it with you briefly. Our first event 10 years ago was in this room, and my mom said, I really want to have it in this room. I want it to be in the Union League. She knew the special and importance of this room and this building itself. And that first year, our tickets were a couple $100, and we were 2 weeks away, and we just started picking up the phone and saying, hey, can you come sit down and sit at this dinner that we're having? Our color guard came in and we said, well, no, don't leave. We got a whole table for you. Bring a guest. And, at the time, we were growing, and we wanted to show people the work that we were doing and the impact that we were having. And to be here tonight, our largest event ever, it's pretty incredible. So thank you all. General Dunford, we know that with a career as distinguished as yours, there are an infinite number of ways that you could spend your free time. And the fact that you reserve so much of it to give in service to TMF is truly humbling. So thank you. I want to thank all of our distinguished guests, honorees, partners, and tonight's sponsors, the entire Spartan community that joins us here. I always look forward to this special evening in December where we come together to celebrate a year of milestones, accomplishments, and impact. But believe me, I'm well aware that our mission is not possible without each of you who generously give your time, your talent, and your treasure to help build the Travis Manion Foundation into what it is today. The most important people, however, that we honor tonight are the men and women who have gone before us and have given their lives in service to our country. Our fallen heroes serve as the inspiration for everything we do at TMF, and no event would be complete without recognizing those who have given the last full measure of devotion and whose legacies we work to uphold every single day. I'd like to honor the following men and women whose loved ones and family members join us here tonight. Lieutenant Brendan Looney, United States Navy SEAL. Captain Scott Craven, United States Air Force. Corporal Jose Freddy Velez, United States Army, and Specialist Andrew Velez, United States Army. Major Samuel Griffith, United States Marine Corps. Captain Nicholas Whitlock, United States Air Force. Machinist Mate First Class Christopher Hickson, United States Navy. Petty Officer Third Class Tammy Stortz, United States Navy. Sergeant Billy West Jameson, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Matthew Sandry, United States Army. Lieutenant Commander Landon Jones, United States Navy. Port Authority Police Officer on September 11th, Christopher Amoroso. Specialist Preston Jones, United States Army. Commander Chris Califut, United States Navy. First Lieutenant Robert Kelly, United States Marine Corps. Colonel Zachary Hall, United States Air Force. Sergeant Richard Lord, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Caleb Powers, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer Second Class Andrew McGee Skinner, United States Navy. Lieutenant Christopher Moscow, United States Navy. And Sergeant Daniel Keegan, United States Army. The families of these fallen heroes who join us tonight are a testament to the resilience of the entire military community. They provide us with a template for how to struggle with grace and perseverance. And to the casual observer, they may not even look like they are struggling at all. I can certainly relate to this myself. When my best friend and brother Travis was killed in Iraq in 2007, I was devastated. 5 years later, I lost my mom to cancer, and I fell apart completely. That loss had a compounding effect on me that left me almost entirely immobilized by my grief. Ironically, I don't even think my close friends recognized how much I was struggling at that time. Humans are enormously adaptive, and we can be quite effective in deceiving others and even ourselves into believing what we want to believe. There are two things, however, that pulled me out of that difficult time. The first was community. After losing both Travis and my mom, I leaned heavily on the relationship of friends and loved ones, many of whom are a deep and integral part of TMF's mission and are joining us here tonight. The second was the opportunity to give back. There is nothing more healing in times of struggle than having the opportunity to step outside of your own grief or trauma and focus on the needs of others. This may seem counterintuitive to some, but I promise you it's true. Service is not merely a distraction from your own struggles. It's a gift that offers perspective and hope. Serving others shows you that not only does life go on, but that you have the opportunity to improve the lives of others as well. These two gifts, a tight-knit community and a deep sense of purpose through service, are exactly what the Travis Manion Foundation gives our veterans and families of the fallen. And in doing so, we empower them to grow and find fulfillment in ways they never thought possible. I'd like to take a moment now to show you what this looks like in action.
It was a rough patch in my life when I just recently got out the military.
I struggled mightily to find my way when I got out of the military. I was in a bad place before TMF. I was had a lot of negative behaviors, and I had some PTSD, and my health wasn't all that great.
A lot of anger, substance abuse issues that it took a pretty hard slap in the face in a night in a jail cell to kind of wipe me clean of that.
Many veterans and families of the fallen struggle with losing their sense of purpose and the close network of support they had in the military community.
After he had passed, I lacked a lot of meaning in my life, and I really missed being happy and having a purpose.
Third generation paratrooper is always a big deal for me, but when I got out, I didn't have that sense of purpose anymore.
That was one thing that I missed after leaving the military, was losing that feeling of empowerment and making a difference in someone's life.
I thought getting out of the military and going to college would be the easiest thing ever. And little did I know that when I started my separation, it felt like everything, all the trauma, all the hardship that we went through as a unit, and we shouldered that weight as a unit. And then when I started stepping away from that unit, it felt like all the pressure stayed with me. And all of a sudden I was a single point of contact, almost like a table trying to stand on only one leg, right? I lost all my other support, and it was crushing me.
Travis Manion Foundation is here to change that. TMF meets veterans and families of the fallen where they are, connecting those in crisis with clinical care through our mental health partners, and providing evidence-based programs that improve well-being by focusing on what matters most. First, we restore meaning and purpose in the lives of those we serve.
It really helped me create a new path to really show me and prove to me that I was something more than just a soldier.
I didn't realize how much I missed the team aspect and having a mission, having a purpose, until I went through SLP and started becoming more involved with Travis Manion. I realized how much I truly did miss that and how much I was getting that again for the first time through TMF.
I signed up for a survivors expedition in New Mexico in 2019, and from that first day, my life has been just completely changed.
I have reignited a fire and saying, hey, I kind of got away from that person I used to be that really had me hitting my stride, and helped me refocus that and kind of find that again.
We also work to cultivate a community based on strong relationships with others. Veterans and survivors know they can count on their fellow Spartans in times of challenge.
All the people, the relationships, and everything, I just felt like it was, I found something I had been looking for, and it was the right thing at the right time.
You can classify it as somewhere between friend and family. if anybody in this cohort or with TMF that I've met needed anything from me, I'd move mountains to try to help them out.
We're all working together cohesively to make a better world.
Through TMF, I gained community. I've gained some of my best friends, family, really.
People who understand me and for who I am, and they don't identify me as a widow. They embrace me for who I am.
I believe that if it weren't for the staff and the other Spartans of the Travis Manion Foundation, I probably wouldn't be here today.
TMF programs are rooted in helping veterans and families of the fallen rediscover engagement, or a deep understanding of their personal strengths and how they can use those strengths to serve others.
They've really shown me how to look at the things that I'm really good at, use those to my advantage, but not to forget about the things that I'm not so good at and to focus on those as areas where I can get better.
There's nothing that can take away the amount of gratitude that I have every single day when I think about making an impact in my community.
Every year, TMF impacts the lives of thousands of veterans and families of the fallen through best-in-class personal development programs, community engagement, and opportunities to serve.
It really did save my life. After the military, I did not feel, without the uniform, I did not feel that my life had a purpose. And now with Travis Manion, that has been restored, and I hope that now I'm helping other people see that they have a purpose too.
Join us in the fight to honor the service and sacrifice of our military by empowering them to lead communities nationwide.
The men and women featured in that video are some of the most important civic assets that this country has to offer. And as a nation, we would be making a huge mistake if we did not put them in positions to lead and serve. The struggles so many of them have overcome are there because we have asked them to shoulder a significant burden on behalf of all of us. And the fact that they have stepped up and selflessly agreed to shoulder that burden is what allows each of us to sleep peacefully in a safe and prosperous country. Our debt to them is immeasurable. Well-intended citizens have been asking for decades, how do we repay that debt? And the answer may surprise you. I can tell you that in my years of serving as the president of the Travis Manion Foundation, one thing has been confirmed time and time again. Veterans are not looking for repayment. They are looking for opportunities to continue to serve their country. It's in their DNA, and it's what brings them deep joy and fulfillment. So if, as a country, we are committed to repaying this debt, the best thing that we can do is to empower these men and women to do what they do best: lead and serve. They will do amazing things if just given the opportunity. In fact, to illustrate that point, I'd like to share a story of a veteran who is joining us tonight and recently shared some thoughts with our team about his experience with TMF. Like most of the veterans and survivors who lead our community, he's far too humble to tout his own accomplishments, so hopefully I can do that for him. Zach Bogoslawski came to TMF during a very unique time in his life. He graduated from the United States Naval Academy the same year as my brother, and went on to have an amazingly successful career as a naval flight officer. After his transition from active duty and the death of fellow Academy classmate Brendan Looney, Zach decided to become more involved with TMF. He was trained as a Character Does Matter mentor and started connecting with youth in the Detroit area. Not long after, however, a series of intense challenges struck Zach one after the other. The sudden and unexpected loss of his father, a deep depression that kept him from connecting with anyone, including his own family, and the loss of a job that he had worked so hard to secure. Within months, he didn't recognize his own life. As Zach shared with us earlier this year, I was a wreck. I had nothing. I felt nothing. Those of us on the outside, however, had no idea how Zach was struggling. In fact, the TMF staff member who served as his local program manager was so impressed with his ability to connect with youth that he invited him to a unique service opportunity with TMF. We were sending a group of veterans to Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, which had just suffered one of the deadliest school shootings in our nation's history. We knew that our veterans would have a powerful message of resilience and support for these young people who had suffered so much. What happened on that expedition in Parkland, Florida was nothing short of transformative. I'll share in his own words what Zach shared with our team. For the next 2.5 days, I interacted with other Spartans who wanted to do more and struggled with their own losses and personal shortcomings. We completed a Go Ruck event, undertook a service project, and then spent time talking with the students and staff at the school about everything, every topic, including the shooting. I went home with a renewed respect for those who suffered the worst days of their lives, and I found myself motivated to do more for those who might not be able to help themselves. As it turns out, that first expedition was exactly what Zach needed to pull himself out of his own grief and struggle, connect with a supportive community, and focus on serving the needs of others. Since that time, Zach has now started a TMF chapter in Detroit and poured himself into mentoring youth with our Character Does Matter program. And last year, he graduated from TMF's prestigious Spartan Leadership Program. In his words, it has been life-changing. And now Zach is changing the lives of others. Where's Zach? Stand up for us, Zach. There he is. Zach is one of thousands of veterans and families of the fallen who have stepped up as leaders in their communities. We'll hear from a few others as we recognize our award recipients this evening, and there are dozens more sitting in the audience tonight. These stories of impact, I'm fortunate to say, is not unique to the Travis Manion Foundation community. In every case, these men and women are leading the charge to address the most pressing needs of our country, whether it's providing hope and healing for communities torn apart by violence, or as in Zach's case, serving as a mentor for young adults in need. TMF veterans and survivors across the country are leading and serving. Those of us in this room are not blind to the challenges facing our country right now. However, how many of us have taken steps to solve these challenges? How many of us feel deeply accountable to their struggles and committed to the resolution? For our military-connected men and women, that answer is simple. They, more than anyone, know how to answer the question, if not me, then who? And they answer it with action and not mere words. Our country needs their leadership, their character, and their continued service now more than ever. This evening, I am filled with gratitude for those who have selflessly stood in the gap and shouldered the burden in service to our country, not just in uniform, but outside as well. And my challenge to the rest of us in this room is to stand in that gap beside them. There is strength in numbers, and we gain so much more when we work shoulder to shoulder together. If we don't, it's ultimately a disservice to the legacy of our fallen heroes. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight, for your continued commitment to the work we do at the Travis Manion Foundation. God bless the men and women who protect and serve our country. God bless the families who support them, and God bless America. Thank you.
Hope everybody enjoyed the dinner and are enjoying the dessert now. We're going to continue on with our program, and we're so excited to be able to introduce you to someone who's been part of the Travis Manion organization really since the beginning. since day one, but his service to the greater good began at West Point. He served 6 years in the Army, earning the rank of captain, also earning a Ranger tab and airborne wings, but before moving on to business school and contributing to the community in many other ways, including at the helm of some of America's most well-known and successful companies. Also, just kind of as we're giving some historic context to the evening, one of the traditions of the Travis Manion Foundation includes a tailgate. At that, I don't know, it's like some game that they play at the Army. I think there's, I know the Navy is playing, but I don't know, is Army? Okay, the Army-Navy game. And so that tailgate has happened for years, and it was a tradition that began with a handful of friends, Colonel Manion, his son Travis, and our next guest. So please join me in welcoming to the stage the Executive Chairman of Johnson & Johnson and Vice Chairman of the Travis Manion Foundation Board of Directors, Alex Gorski.
Wow, Jenna, thank you very much for that intro. And you know, you get a little bit nervous when Jenna comes up to you about 2 minutes before that and said, hey, you know who you're introducing tonight, right? And by the way, we don't have that loaded in the teleprompter. So it's one of those aha moments. But anyway, so wonderful to be here tonight and see everyone yet again. And you know, before I get into the introduction of one of our honorees tonight, I just like to reflect on a couple of things. And one is, what an awesome and special night this always is here at the Travis Manion Gala. I mean, I would dare say that's go ahead. I will go so far as to say I think there are a few places in America where you can find a better night and a better weekend than what we're honored to have here over the next couple of days. Think about it for a moment. You know, tonight, everything that's good at a time when unfortunately so much is divisive and bad and that you're hearing and you're inundated with every day, and you come here and you look at the cross-section of America, the people who have served their country, who represent all walks of life, and who come here behind a common cause around, if not me, then who, to make a difference in the lives of other people, for those who have served in their families. Isn't that really what America is all about? And exactly. And then, by the way, it happens to coincide with this thing called the Army-Navy game. And now I know when I start to say this, all of my Army brethren are going to be saying, come on, let's get up there and say, go Army, and, you know, beat Navy. And all the Navy guys are going to say, really? You're going to do that? All I know is one thing is for certain, America's team is going to win on Saturday. So, look, I would be remiss if I didn't share just one quick story to me that embodies and represents what's so special about this day. And for my wife and I have been going to this game, and she's probably a bit tired, probably the last 30 years. And for about the last 10 or so, we've been fortunate enough to have a box. And what we always try and do is invite family and friends, and we try to introduce people to the Army-Navy experience who maybe aren't directly affiliated with the community, because we firmly believe it is America at its finest. And so about 6 years ago, we actually invited Colonel Jack Jacobs, who was a Medal of Honor awardee in Vietnam, and at about the age of 23 or 24, had a very brave, courageous moment, recognized by our country for that kind of valor. And we had a box full of people, and I'll never forget, Jack comes in, and if you saw Jack, you ran into him on the street, you'd never know it. The guy's about 5'7", 165 pounds, you know, soaking wet at about 70 plus years of age. But Jack happened to be wearing his Medal of Honor that day, with the blue ribbon around his neck, and he walks in the box, and you know, we are all shaking hands and, you know, welcoming him in. And he happened to walk to the front end of the box, and I'll never forget, it was one of these days where it was kind of raining and snowing. And he just stood there for a moment looking around. And in front of us, there were a mix of Army and Navy fans that turned around and saw the blue ribbon around Jack's neck. And what you saw was one by one, people in front come to the position of attention and salute. Where else in the world does that happen on a football Saturday? Where people understand the kind of sacrifice and commitment that took. And it's one of those moments that I will never forget in my life. And to me, it really embodies what the Army-Navy game is all about, selfless service for everybody. And that's what we get a chance to start to do tonight. Now, I want to thank a couple of groups before I get into the introduction. One is, while I'm incredibly proud of the kind of groundswell of support that we have at the Travis Manion Foundation, the people who make it what it is, it would not be the organization that it is without an incredible board of directors. And it always takes leadership to take these things to the next level, to make sure that they're sustainable for the long term. People like John Denome, people like Don Morell, in addition to Ryan and Tom and the rest of the board, I would just like to ask the board of directors to please stand, especially our leadership, and please join me in a big round of applause. Next, you've heard some stories about how this got started. And there is this group that I would say Ryan is probably known as the Doylestown Mafia, that has been there from the very beginning. You know, the people who did the tailgates that Jenna mentioned before it was a Travis Manion tailgate, the people who, our children were babysat by Travis and Ryan along the way and vice versa, and we were always there. And they have just been an awesome, awesome group of friends every step of the way. And without your support from the very beginning to the end. So please join me in a round of applause for all those Doylestown passionates from day one. We were blessed to be part of such a special community. And third and last but not least, this happens to be kind of my swan song at Johnson & Johnson. Hard to believe after more than 30 years and in more than a decade as the chairman and CEO, that I've been honored and privileged to serve. And it's been the privilege of my life, frankly. I could never have dreamed to be able to serve in an organization like this. And one thing I know for certain is I could never have done my job without the dedicated men and women who make us the company we are, that enable us to touch more than 1 billion patients and consumers every day through thick and thin in COVID-19. Many of them who are veterans are here tonight. And I'd just like to ask all my Johnson & Johnson colleagues to please stand, and if you could give them a big round of applause. You guys make me so proud. So look, I'm incredibly excited tonight to announce and recognize this year's 2022 Community Leadership Award winner to a company that's really no stranger to supporting the military community, and it's USAA. You know, my dad was a Korean War veteran, served for about 35 years, retired as a 2-star in the Army Reserves, and so I have been a member of USAA, I think since I started first paying my car insurance when I was 15 years old. I've been there for a long time. But look, USA's support, it's so central and integral to the mission of Travis Manion Foundation, and they have stepped up in a major way to sponsor 2 of TMF's really hallmark initiatives. The first one that many in this room know, this year the 911 Heroes Run Race was presented by USA Small Business Insurance. And this allowed more than 60,000 people. Imagine, I think the first one we had, 60? Okay, maybe 100. And to have 60,000 people to honor the fallen in more than 90 communities throughout the world, to help ensure that our country never, ever, ever forgets the sacrifices made on September 11th, 2001. Second, USAA is a key sponsor of TMF's life-changing service expeditions for the families of the fallen. In these healing expeditions, you saw some of them on the film clips tonight, it really offers surviving family members a chance, to come together, connect with others at a very personal level who understand their loss, and most importantly, is to do something really positive to honor their fallen hero. And USA supported the military community And their investment in TMF's mission, well, it's changed countless lives around this country. Now, David Griffin is one of them. And let's hear his story as a Gold Star brother of Major Sam Griffith, a soldier who gave his life for our country in Afghanistan.
I lost my older brother, Major Sam Griffith, in Afghanistan in 2011. When I was in undergrad, me and a bunch of the other cadets in my ROTC battalion, we ran in the 9/11 Heroes Run, and then the following year, we all decided to volunteer for it. It wasn't just a matter of the fact that I was a Gold Star brother, it was a fact that, you know, they were doing the 9/11 Heroes Run at his alma mater. It just kind of motivated me as an individual to like want to be involved. And I mean, all it takes is to run 3 miles and then, you know, get to experience that award ceremony to know that, hey, this is really cool that, you know, a group or an organization is out there like trying to honor our military's fallen. You know, what can I do to get involved in that? There's not very many opportunities out there where, you know, an organization says, hey, we can't guarantee you're gonna go on this trip, but if you apply, you might be able to go to Alaska, like free of charge. You know, you might have to work a little bit, but that's like a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I didn't hesitate to jump for it. I don't know what it's like for other service members and their family members, but for me as a chaplain candidate in the Army Reserves, it's really hard for me to open up about some of the experiences I've had in life to people outside of my family or people that I'm not close with. And knowing that the Alaska expedition was just going to be filled with family members of fallen service members, it told me that it was going to be a community where I could be open about myself, about what I've been through, about what my family's been through, and I wasn't going to be in an environment of judgment. So many people were afraid to be themselves at first. But the minute that the conversations started happening, the minute that people started crying, the minute that people started hugging one another, it was like, hey, I can be who I am. I can honor my loved one and not feel ashamed of the fact that I'm still grieving. But not only that, like, having the opportunity to sit down, get rained on, work in the mud, work in the dirt, and feel like you were actually doing something important really gave everybody this sense of accomplishment and gave them this feeling of, hey, my loved one, so in my case, like, hey Sam, do you see what I'm doing? I'm doing this because of what you did, your influence on my life. You were so important to me and I loved you so much that now that you're not here, now that you're gone, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna show the world who you were by being a good person, by doing things that are worthwhile, by working on a service project. And every single person that I worked with up in Alaska embodied that. They put all of their hearts on the line because they knew that it was a community that they could be accepted in, that would appreciate them. They could honor their loved ones, they could honor other loved ones, and vice versa. Leading up to Alaska, I was dealing with a lot of hardships in life and just trying to figure things out. I had a lot on my plate, but I hadn't had the opportunity to like really do something for me and really do something in honor of my brother in a long time. And I just never felt so close to my brother than I did on top of that mountain in the past 10 years that he's been gone. After that ceremony of like kind of clipping our loved one's dog tag to the memorial, there was like a brief 30-second period, I would say. Like, it wasn't long at all. But I kind of like turned around and I looked across Alaska's like landscape, and I just kind of like thought to myself, I was like, wow, This has been my brother's view for the past 10 years. This is probably what his view from heaven's been like. I think I'd want USAA to know that they're helping a lot of people who don't know how to help themselves. When it comes to experiencing loss in the military, it's not everybody, but a handful of these loved ones. They don't know what they can do for themselves or what's out there to help them through what they're experiencing. And USAA sponsoring and investing in us gives us the opportunity to move forward knowing that we're taking our loved one's memory with us.
Wow, David, well said. "3 miles, touch more than 1,000 lives, help change them forever." Now, Wayne Peacock is the president and CEO of USAA, one of America's leading financial service companies. I think any of us in the military, seems like we've known USAA all along. It offers insurance and banking, investment and retirement solutions to more than 13 million members around the country. And Wayne himself, well, he's got more than 30 years of experience at USAA. He started in real estate in the investment subsidiary in 1988. And before becoming CEO in February of 2020, he was president of USAA's Property and Casualty Insurance Group. Now, he's a member of the Business Roundtable, an inaugural member of the Federal Reserve Board's Insurance Policy Advisory Committee, and he also serves on the Board of Trustees of the Institute's Risk Management Insurance Knowledge Provider. He's active in community, industry, and trade groups, and very importantly, a proud Eagle Scout. So please welcome Wayne Peacock.
All right, well, Alex got all my talking points. Go Army, go Navy, right? So I learned last year, after 10 years of being neutral, that you should not predict the game, because I'm 0 for 1 doing that. But from a USA standpoint, this is our time to shine, to celebrate what has been an incredible tradition. In fact, 123 years of Army-Navy tipping off against each other, the 90th time right here in Philly, the best location of all for Army-Navy. But I hope we can clap for that, right? It's like... But Alex, and really, Ryan, I just wanted to say, on behalf of our 38,000 USAA teammates, thank you for honoring us, for recognizing us. This group of individuals come to work every single day with really only one thing in mind, and that's taking care of veterans and military families. We do that every day in terms of our commercial activities, but the work we do around in our communities is equally important, and just really excited to be part of the program here with your foundation. So thank you for that. Thank you. So if not me, then who are the 5 stirring words of Marine Corps First Lieutenant Travis Manion. We love these words because they conjure up the character of service members, men and women who are willing to put service above self. They remind us of Derek Robinson, Jocko Willink, and so many others who have served and continue to serve. And I think these words are really timeless because they are really the heartbeat of what military character and core values are all about. The stories of our fallen warriors all carry that theme of service above self, and we've heard so much of that tonight already. Since we're in this historic place, I thought we should jump back in history a little bit more. And there's a story about Private Martin Teptro. He was a 24-year-old Midwestern barber who found himself on the front line in France during World War I in 1917. His leaders needed a messenger, and Private Teptro stepped forward to volunteer. His assignment, deliver a handwritten message to a platoon leader on the other side of a raging battlefield. I think it must have been a lot like that scene in the film 1917, when a British Lance Corporal, Schofield, runs for his very survival across a chaotic battlefield to deliver a critical message that will save his brothers in arms from a trap. And as in this film, Private Treptow ran across a battlefield, but his mission didn't end successfully. Shortly before reaching his destination, Private Treptow was killed by machine gun fire. And when his fellow soldiers recovered his body, they found his diary and a pledge that he has written to himself. Up at the top, it said, "America must win this war." And then the pledge he had made for himself was to work, to sacrifice, to endure, to fight cheerfully, and to do his utmost as if the whole struggle depended on me alone. That's what he had written in his diary. And that Treptow pledge was then memorialized in the congressional record in the United States, later by Ronald Reagan in his first inaugural address. The president gave tribute to the fallen in Arlington Cemetery, where many of our heroes and your loved ones lie today. And then he turned to all Americans and he said, "The challenges we face don't require us to make the same sort of sacrifice that Private Treptow and Travis and thousands of others have made on our behalf. Our challenges do require our best effort and our willingness to believe in our capacity to perform great deeds." And then he told his fellow Americans, together and with God's help, we can and will resolve the problems that confront us. So those problems that confront us in this room today, they're the problems of veterans and families of fallen heroes and the people who support them. Those kind of problems require us first to look within ourselves and then outward to scout out where we are called to serve. And that's what the Travis Manion Foundation asks each of us to do. And it's why USAA is proud to support this organization and the people inspired by your mission. You know, USAA and the USA Foundation have contributed nearly $500,000 over the last 5 years to help veterans and survivors learn how to make a difference through the Spartan Leadership Program, to enable families of the fallen to channel their skills through special expeditions, and to give veterans and survivor families a chance to leave a lasting impact, to leave a legacy through Operation Legacy's community programs. So we're humbled to stand alongside all of you today as we accept this award. And please, please don't ever get tired of serving on behalf of the fallen and building something bigger than yourselves. Yours is a lasting legacy, and thank you for everything you've done, but as we said earlier tonight, General, everything you are yet to do. And then I'll just close and say, go Army, go Navy.
Thank you so much, Wayne. I said that was the perfect diplomatic ending. It just brought it us all together. We, on behalf of the Travis Manion Foundation, really thank Wayne for all that he's doing. Thank you so much, Wayne. Our next award is given each year to a student who takes part in the Character Does Matter program that's powered by Under Armour. It's delivered by trained and vetted mentors who are veterans or families of the fallen. Character Does Matter has already inspired 500,000 young people to live out the "if not me, then who" ethos in their own lives. This year, the Character Does Matter Scholarship Award goes to Caitlin Egan, and we're going to take a moment right now to learn a little bit more about Caitlin's story of growth alongside her veteran mentors, Bob Craven and Connie Whalen.
My name is Bob Craven. I'm a volunteer mentor with the Character Does Matter program with the Travis Manion Foundation. In February 2006, my son, Scott Craven, a U.S. Air Force instructor pilot in southern Georgia, died in an accident. In our society, we live through this stuff and we are used to family members dying, but by family members, I mean either a sibling, a parents, grandparents. We're used to that. We know that's going to happen. But when you lose a child, nobody prepares you for that, and it's such a void. It is difficult to talk about it as much as I do. I mean, it hurts every time I speak to anyone about Scott. As much as I love him and respected him, he was my son. You're never supposed to lose your son. You're not supposed to bury your son. But that also is a teaching point for this young adults nowadays. You know, whatever you think is the norm may not be. For years after Scott's passing, I wasn't actively searching for something to do. I always had something to do, but I eventually got more into volunteer work and was very fortunate to be invited into the Travis Manion Foundation and the Character Does Matter program. I began to be involved at Conway Catholic High School about 5 years ago. We were doing Character Does Matter presentations initially, and now we've transitioned into the character courses. Last year, Caitlin Egan was one of the students in our character course.
When I first met him, he is like the kind of guy when you first meet him, you see him and it's like, to me, he was very like strict to me, but I got to learn about him more and know him more as a person. He is a caring person. He cares about everything he does. He cares for people. He goes about his life doing things for others more than himself, and he goes out of his way to help any of his friends or anyone that needs his help.
I think the big thing about Caitlin, in comparison to her peers, is that quiet confidence and that quiet leadership. She can lead without a lot of people knowing she's the leader.
You know, there's freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors that are represented in the Character Does Matter over at Conwell Egan, and she was able to connect them all. So there's a hierarchy in high school, right? And she was able to put together a group chat and made sure that everybody was included, even the quiet freshmen that didn't maybe want to speak up. She encouraged them through her leadership skills to get their ideas on the Operation Legacy project and what they wanted to do. That's how the Scott Craven Memorial came to fruition.
I ended up being the group leader. I helped with the service project, the planning of the service project. I ended up getting really close with Bob and Connie, talking to them before and after the meetings, getting to know them for like who they are and not just as like the mentors of TMF, and they really helped me like become me.
My most memorable moment at Conway, and I've been there for a few years now, would have to be that graduation when they dedicated the garden to Scott. Took my breath away.
We first told Bob that we were doing that at our graduation, and we gave it to him, and he was so grateful and so thankful, and it really put like a smile on all of like my and my group's faces when we saw how happy he was that we did that for him.
He was speechless, you know. He actually cried on stage, which I love that vulnerability, you know, just him tearing up, knowing that his son really had an impact, you know, on people that he never met, you know. He had an impact on me, and his story has an impact on me, and to value that in a memorial is priceless.
I wish that I found TMF earlier in my life, because I think I would have learned how to be more open, be more me to people. Not so much of like hid away in the background of like things that I did, and more been myself and stepped out of the way to do things for others throughout like my high school, and could have grown and be a better person now instead of starting just last year and like moving forward now.
They look up to veterans and think that we're impenetrable. But Bob showing his vulnerability, I think, allows other people to explore their own vulnerabilities, and I could see that through Caitlin's relationship with Bob. It inspires me to be a little bit more vulnerable, and I can tell that it inspired Caitlin to be a little bit more vulnerable.
They shared that their stories, their hardships, and the way that they went through life, and the hard times and the good times, and the way that they were able to just share that with complete strangers that they just met really showed me like how well you can connect with people if you actually open up to them, like even strangers. Like I felt connected with them the first time that we had a meeting and I didn't even know them before.
Being a part of the Character Does Matter program gives me purpose and value. You know, it's hard as a veteran when you're discharged from the military or when you retire and that's all you know. It can sometimes be hard to find value. And this gives me value.
I'd like to invite Caitlin up to the stage to receive her well-deserved award. Bob and Connie are going to be joining her.
I feel like new sunglasses, like a brand new pair of jeans.
Just want to share one quick thing with you. Congratulations to Caitlin, and thank you to Bob and Connie as well for your amazing work. Bob has actually been continuing to volunteer at Conwell Egan this year, and he's been teaching the Character Does Matter curriculum to the whole freshman class every morning, Monday through Friday. Does not sound easy, Bob. He and the school staff, many of whom are here tonight, have plans to keep going too, so that in a few years, every single graduate of Conwell Egan will have completed an intensive Character Does Matter program with one of Travis Manion Foundation's mentors. Thank you so much. Thank you. Imagine if that was done at every school. Every child that graduates is able to go through that program. There's been a lot of Army energy on the stage. I just sort of feel that. I don't know if it's just me. So we're going to balance that out. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm welcome to our next speaker, Chairman Emeritus of the Travis Manion Foundation and retired Marine Colonel Tom Manion.
Wow. Well, what a night. I guess I can start off, number one, by saying, go Navy, right? Is that fair? Yeah. No, but I just want to start by thanking everyone. And, you know, we really, when we think about, you know, where we are, Jenna talked about 10 years today, and the General talked about 10 years from now. You know, we're at that crossroads, and I really feel super good about where we are because of, you know, what we have here tonight and beyond. And, you know, it starts with our incredible volunteers that make this organization, you know, 20-fold across the country, and the passion that they show. All the great supporters that we have in the room tonight and throughout the country. Great team at TMF, leadership team and staff. Just people that come to work every day with a passion for where we were and where we're going. And then as Alex said, you know, world-class board of directors, second to none. So I just want to thank everyone that forms our family. And I want to let you know that, you know, we're only beginning. You know, we're at the 10-year mark, and we got big plans. And with your support, we're sure we're going to get there. So thanks for all you do to be a part of what we do. You know, for the last several years, it's been my honor to introduce the If Not Me Then Who Leadership Award recipient. Each year, this award goes to the veteran who has truly embodied those 5 words that Travis spoke before his final deployment. This year, we have a very special honoree, and I've gotten to know his story over the last several months. Derek Robinson's journey is one we often see from our veterans. It's about resilience, determination, brotherhood, and at the center of it all is a supportive community that helps you get through the tough times. We talk a lot about strengthening communities at the Travis Manion Foundation, which is the core of our mission. Our veterans and families of the fallen are out there every day demonstrating character and uniting people on under a common cause to serve in cities all across America. Derek is one of those outstanding veterans, and the work he has done to strengthen his local community of Houston has been incredibly impactful. What Derek's story reminds us is that large-scale community change begins with a single individual. One person who believes in something bigger than himself and is committed to using his strength to serve others. He shows us that when we put aside our egos and biases and instead embrace humility and selflessness, we can do amazing things. This is what makes our larger TMF community so special. We are a large swath of America from all walks of life coming together to serve the common good. And when you think about that, it's no surprise that veterans and families of the fallen are the ones leading the charge to strengthen and unite our country. No one knows more about selflessness, sacrifice, and how to achieve a shared mission than our military. And as someone who's served beside these men and women, I can tell you, these are the people that you want on your team. If there's a difficult problem that needs resolutions, it's veterans like Derek Robinson who you want in your corner addressing those tough challenges. I think one of the greatest issues we face right now is preserving the strength of our character that our country represents. At TMS, we focus on inspiring the next generation to embody that character. And once again, it's Derek Robinson and his fellow veteran mentors who are ensuring those principles of character live on in our youth. Let's take a moment now to learn more about Derek's personal journey with TMF, the sense of brotherhood that connects him with other Spartans, and how he's inspiring the next generation.
I left the military knowing that I'd go back to Louisiana because there were just so many options that I could get going back. On paper, my life is great. Everything is checked off. And after so many years, I just began to wake up and recognize that something was missing. Quite often you hear people say, I just couldn't get out of bed in the morning. I really experienced that. I can't get out of bed this morning. This is around the George Floyd. This is around all the murders, the Elijahs, the Breonnas, and I have trauma in my past in dealing with police officers, and I presented with the chip on my shoulder for this specific type of white male. A Travis Manion Foundation staff member told me about the Spartan Leadership Program and told me that I should probably apply. So I loosely applied, not really knowing what I was getting myself into and doing some kind of research. But I knew it had to be a good route. One of the next things that I have to do in the program is to go to Colorado for another expedition. And in that expedition, I am having to go there and be with another person who's the epitome of this cop who pulled me over. He's this white guy, very brash, very in your face. This is who I am. This is what I do. And you're gonna listen to me. And this was Tosh. Tosh represented that toxic masculinity that I absolutely detested. And I am saying to myself, I absolutely cannot, under any circumstances, put myself in a position where this person is in charge of me, is in charge of where I'm going, and is in charge of my growth. There's no way I can do it. And as I'm sitting on the plane, putting my bags in the overhead, I sit in my seat and completely lose it. I am bawling as the flight is taking off, and I realized where the trauma and all those things were, and I needed to process, I needed to deal and put that in perspective.
There was something in his body language, his posture that just said, hey, like, something's going on for this guy, you know, and it was the whole first night where we just have a social, and then afterwards talking to Camille and some of the other staff members. It's like, so what do you think? I'm like, hey, you know, so-and-so and so-and-so, and how about that Derek guy? Like, everything okay? And she's like, she gives me a smile. She said, you'll figure him out.
And I think some of the better times were around the fire in the evenings when we'd sit around and we talk about wins of the day, and we talk about, you know, some of the plans that we had. And I'd spend hours, like after everybody went to bed, talking to Tosh. And I think the general vulnerability with him bridged a huge gap.
I remember it was like day 2, and he came up to me and just said, hey, I just want to give you a hug and apologize. And I was like, well, what's going on? He's like, hey, I've got a lot of stuff going on.
I said, dude, I was not coming here. I didn't want to be around you because this is what you give off.
I didn't want to be here. And a couple people said, hey, just put your stuff away and just come up and be present. Give Tosh a chance and just give the whole experience a chance.
He said, give me a chance. I know that. This is something that I'm working on, you know. I know how I come across to people, but I need people to see the other side of me, to see who I am.
From that moment on, we just grew tighter and tighter and tighter.
For my personal growth and for me, going on that expedition and meeting someone that I knew or that I thought I didn't want to have anything to do with, that I did not want to be around, leaving that expedition, I am so glad that I checked myself, or I saw the heart of another person, and he's one of my favorite people to this day. After graduating SLP, I began to do a lot of Character Does Matter mentorship in the community. And I came to realize that community service and working with youth was that magical pill that kind of helped or saved the mental anguish that I was battling with. As I'm impacting the next generation and reaching out to these youth, it's actually food to my soul. Getting feedback from quite a few of the participants, and they're like, you remind me of that brother. You remind me of, you know, my father who's gone. You know, just taking me aside and having these conversations with me, it means a lot. So, you know, those are the opportunities that I'm being given. But I'm doing all of this work to soothe something inside. Through this journey, I'm so grateful to have found a path to continue my healing.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd also like to share with you that Derek almost wasn't able to join us here tonight. He recently received some very difficult news that he'll share with us in a moment. But once again, he fought through that and is able to be here with us here. As a result, it's my absolute honor to recognize the 2022, If Not Me Then Who, award recipient, Derek Robinson.
What a wonderful introduction, and I will steal some of Ryan's words from earlier. Am I really worthy of them? Thank you so much, everyone. Hello and good evening. I am Derek. I never know what to say when I'm put in these positions, but some kind of way I always get through it. And I am a KISS person, so hold me to that. And for those that don't know what KISS means, keep it simple and let's just say short for this evening. Okay, so there's a song that sticks in my head, and it's by Cash Cash, and it's my final hour. Poems, songs, short stories, and even daily speeches have a multitude of meanings depending on the listener. What I take from that song by Cash Cash, this is my final hour. I'm holding it all by a thread. I'm not perfect, never even said I was perfect. I'm putting it all on a prayer. No, this isn't my final hour because it's not my last hour. I come here with it all on the line. Here I am. That's what I take to my CDM presentations. I never step into a room with a group of young adults and say, I have all this information I'm just going to pour into your head. Give me something, I give you something, and it's an exchange of ideas. That's how I do Character Does Matter with my mentors. Tell me where you are, and I'll meet you there. Coming here tonight has been a difficult role for myself and my support team, as our retired colonel kind of alluded to. So some of the last few years have come with some very tough and uncomfortably beautiful moments. My life isn't what it was at all. The past 3 years neatly summed up in August when I got my official cancer diagnosis. Yes, I'm about 2 weeks out of radiation and about 2 weeks out of chemo. And as I look at my table mate and see some of his socks, I am wearing my fuck cancer socks tonight. Okay, so chemotherapy is the drug that kills bad cells and some of the good cells. I took that as a life analogy. Some of good cells had to be sacrificed so that the healthy cells would have a fighting chance. The last few years of my life have been about removing unnecessary layers of who I am. So many layers I thought I needed, but they had to go. They had to be removed. Some very painfully, so that I can grow into this happier and healthier person that I am today. I don't owe that to cancer, but it gave me a reality check and it gave me a lesson. I've come here tonight feeling extremely thankful for where I am. However, thankful does not fully capture my growth in being able to call myself out when I need to. You just heard one of those moments when I had to call myself out on decades of drama that I've held on to. Thankful does not cover all the homework assignments given in the Spark Leadership program, where it's dig deeper, go into that hole and pull out some of that very raw stuff that you've been having so long. Thankful does not give credence to the hiking up and down mountains with my cohort, with TMF staff, and with Tosh. And Thankful does not cover every Character Does Matter presentation that I have done, and for all the ones I will continue to do as this organization continues to grow. Thank you. And it doesn't cover how wonderfully beautiful the expedition to Montana that I very recently led was. More importantly, Thankful does not cover TMF and the Spartan Leadership Program because they gave me the template and the option to reconfigure my priorities and focus on the world so much bigger than myself. It actually pulled me out of depression. And I can stand here and all Army veterans, all the veterans of all the services that spoke to you guys before that let us know I was on drugs, I was doing this, I was doing that. I was in a depression, and this program gave me the template to follow to work for something bigger than myself. Thankful gets close, but it does not even begin to sum up the thankfulness I feel tonight, the emotions I feel tonight. And then wrapping up, so I told you I was a KISS person. Thank you all for this amazing opportunity and for having me tonight. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. That's wonderful, Derek. Congratulations on your If Not Me Then Who Leadership Award. We're honored to have you here tonight. Your presence is a testament to the courage and resilience you've always shown, and further proof that you are an ideal role model for the next generation. You know, the Travis Manion Foundation has grown and evolved over the last 15 years. But character and leadership have always been at the heart of our mission. Tonight's guest of honor has embraced the mission of teaching, modeling, and encouraging strong leadership on the battlefield and beyond. And he's helped millions all over the world in the process. Jocko Willink enlisted in the Navy at age 18. His goal? Become an elite special operator in the U.S. military. And he did, rising through the ranks from enlisted SEAL to a SEAL officer, and eventually leading SEAL Team 3's Task Unit Bruiser during the Battle of Ramadi, the most highly decorated special operations unit of the Iraq War. For his service, Jocko received the Silver Star, the military's third highest combat decoration, as well as the Bronze Star and numerous other awards. Jocko used the leadership lessons he learned during his 20 years of service to also find success as a best-selling author, top podcaster and entrepreneur, and co-founder of Echelon Front, a leadership company that helps individuals and companies build high-performance teams. Please welcome to the stage tonight's guest of honor, Jocko Willink.
You can run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Sooner or later, gotta put you down. Sooner or later,
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These are the unalienable rights endowed by our Creator and set forth in the Declaration of Independence, which of course was written here in this great and historic city of Philadelphia, just a few blocks from where we are right now. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These powerful words are all that any American, or really any human being, could ever hope for. And these words represent the just and self-evident truths that our great nation was founded upon. And the Declaration of Independence carries on to explain that when these rights are reduced or abused by tyranny or evil, it is the duty of the people to throw off and absolve themselves from that tyranny. But there is an implied and unspoken addendum to this document. Yes, there is an important part of the Declaration of Independence that is actually left unsaid. But what is unsaid is an idea that anyone who understands history and anyone that understands human nature will know. That there is an elevated calling beyond those unalienable rights. Because you see, in order for one group of sovereign people to reap the blessings of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, there must be another group who are willing to sacrifice and forego those sacred rights. That other group of people, those are our warriors. Those are the men and women of our military. Because when an American citizen raises their hand and swears the oath of service, what they are doing is willingly placing their life, their liberty, and their personal happiness on the altar of freedom. They are relinquishing the blessings bestowed by this great nation. These warriors commit this somber act in order to defend the higher ideal, that is the United States of America. Our military troops volunteer so they can uphold this glorious vision of destiny, this supreme object of human value: freedom. And for freedom and for liberty, our military men and women are willing to sacrifice everything that they have. Everything that they have now, and everything that they ever could have. All their hopes, all their dreams, all their aspirations are subordinated to this higher cause. These soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, they give their futures for ours. Now, this is exactly what Travis Manion did. Not in some conceptual or abstract way. No, Travis Manion factually decided to put the lives of his team above his own. And he did it at the moment of truth. He did it in combat. And in combat, there's no time to think through your philosophical beliefs. There's no internal discussion about our nation's great endeavors or the high aims of our country. No. In combat, your values must already be decided. They must already be established. They must be resolute in your soul. And Travis's values were absolutely embedded in his character, indelibly etched into his spirit. And his spirit would show no fear, would show no hesitation, would show no wavering. There was no fear as he exposed himself to enemy fire to rescue his corpsmen from the kill zone. There was no hesitation as he directed his patrol in a counterattack. There was no wavering when he rescued another Marine and personally drew enemy fire away from the rest of his troops. And with this unconquerable spirit and this determined character, on that bloody and violent battlefield, Travis sacrificed his life for his friends. Now, We need to be thankful for Travis Manion and for the men and women like him, many of whom you heard about tonight. We need to be thankful because it's heroes like Travis who have given us this gift of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And yes, without question, we should and we must live every day in a way that will honor the sacrifices of those heroes. That is our charge. But there's something equally important that Travis and heroes like Travis, they've given to all of us. This is a gift that is just as precious as the freedom and liberty that we all hold so dear. And that gift is the example that Travis set. The example that he set, the life that he led, which so clearly revealed that a true hero, a true model for mankind is not someone who fights for his own life, not someone who fights for his own liberty, not someone who fights for his own pursuit of happiness. No. The ultimate ideal, the ultimate American, the ultimate hero is one who puts others first. Because you see, Travis did not serve to protect his own life, but to defend others. He didn't sacrifice for his own liberty, but for all of ours. He didn't lay down his life for his own happiness, but so that his friends could one day find their happiness. That is the example that Travis Manion set. That is the path of righteousness that he laid down to be followed. Knowing the risks, knowing the hazard, knowing the peril, knowing the possible outcome of his choices and actions could be death, knowing all that. He needed only to ask, if not me, then who? If I do not volunteer, who will? If I do not deploy, who will? If I do not lead, who will? If I do not serve, who will? If I do not place my life on the altar of sacrifice for my country, who will? Travis answered that question. And he answered it with complete and unmitigated resolve. Who will go? Travis Manion will go. So, we are here tonight to remember Travis's story and his legacy, but we must also remember that while Travis's story is the idealized representation of what it means to be a hero, Travis is not just a hero, not just a myth, not just a legend. Travis was a man. He was a real man. He was a son. He was a brother. He was a friend. He was a teammate. He was a man who, no matter what, would not let down his friends, would not let down his Marines, would not let down his country. So, we thank you, Travis. We thank you, obviously, for these sacred gifts that you have bestowed upon each of us: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we promise we will relish our freedom, and we will pursue our own manifestation of happiness. But also, thanks to you, Travis, we will strive. We will strive to be better. We will strive to give more. We will strive to be more. We will strive to do more, but not for ourselves, but for others. That is the task you have entrusted us with. And we will not forget your solemn and heroic example. And we will not forget your words. If not me, then who? Thank you, Travis. We will do our best to follow your lead. Thank you. God bless America.
Thank you so much to Jocko. That's a perfect way to sort of close out our evening, reminding us about why we are all here tonight. And it's been an honor to be a part of tonight's event and see the impact of the work each of our veterans, families of the fallen, and inspired civilians do every day, made possible by each of you tonight. Whether it's the next 10 or 15 years to come, I can confidently say that the Travis Manion Foundation and all of the hundreds of thousands of Spartans nationwide will continue to rise to any challenge and answer the call of those 5 words. We're going to reach a point in the evening that honestly I've never seen ever before done at any other event. Some of you know this tradition. Some of you don't. Just bear with us. It's good. Oh, thank you. Let's go. Exactly. Per tradition of the Travis Manion Foundation, do we have them, the bottle of the Basil Hayden at the tables? Do you see a bottle of Basil Hayden? Are they there? Okay. So please take a moment to pour and hold a shot for you or your friends. We're going to propose a toast. And there is part of a tradition. It's part of a tradition. Uh-oh. For those of you who don't know, thank you, Ryan. Ryan never lets me off the hook. For those of you who don't know, Basil Hayden was the late Janet Manion's favorite drink. And when Janet first started this foundation after losing her son Travis, she really put herself at the forefront of the movement to support our troops and military families and families of the fallen. So this is this is the only time I've ever been at a program where it requires me to raise glass, take shot. That's actually in the script. I just want to point out at Jocko's table, though, he gets ice cream because he doesn't drink, so he has a scoop of ice cream, just so everybody knows. Is this pretend? Is it for the gram? Okay, here it is. Janet was ready to always have a good time, especially in the spirit of honoring our service members and remembering those who made the ultimate sacrifice. So the time has come to raise a glass to honor the men and women who have selflessly served and sacrificed for this great country. Each of us has a duty to honor their sacrifices through our own actions. May we remember them, may their legacies inspire us, and may they never be forgotten. Cheers. Well done. You guys did this like you practiced. It's been very good, Ryan. I can't wait. Come on, it's a lot of. It's just so easy. Well, it's been an honor to be with you on behalf of the Travis Manion Foundation tonight. Thank you so much for your presence. We're going to wish you a great rest of your evening, a happy holidays, and hope to see you back here December 7th next year. Have a great evening.